Thank you, Doctor. I'm choosing to speak from here, basically because kwa umri wangu sikumbuki kila kitu. So I want to have the aid of my laptop, so that's why I've chosen to speak from here. But good morning, everybody. Good morning, Rex. You intimidate me a bit. I want to say this. I am much honored to be guest speaker today on this very auspicious event that has become very popular with the business community. And considering the list that came before me, makes me feel a little bit honored than normal, so I really appreciate. And of course, my brother Ami there was one of the speakers. So when I stand on a podium like this, of course, I feel much honored. But more today, pairing me with Professor Assad. Wow, that's big. So I want to appreciate this also and to recognize that these are giants. And when you join them, you feel quite happy about it. And I want to say so, kaka yangu, Professor Assad. And of course, the young Generation Z or millennial, I'm not quite sure, who will be the next speakers for us. And yes, it's very important that this discussion today has speakers from all the generations. It's important because I have come to learn that we have different thinking. I saw someone else again intimidating me. And it's important to hear the voices of all the generations, and especially in a discussion as important as this one. So again, I want to acknowledge that. I have worked all my life, adult life, with professionals, young, middle-aged, and of course, as old as we are. You've seen the Rex table, also the spreading of the generations. I was worked with myself as a young professional in a professional setting, and I have had people mentor me knowingly and unknowingly, including nimesema kaka yangu, Professor Ambassador Ami, and many others. So when in this discussion today, I will be actually talking about my experiences over the years as a young professional, as a professional employee, and then as an employer of young professionals and middle-aged professionals. I will just be speaking about what I have seen over the years. I know we've made a lot of mistakes, especially in building a law firm and in hiring young lawyers, and some of them very ambitious, some of them very capable, some of them having their own fears and concerns, which maybe sometimes we don't notice, but some of them who want to actually achieve their very, very best, and they come to you and they want to achieve that through you, and sometimes they don't actually achieve what they're achieving, and they get frustrated. But I want to say over the years also we learned, not only learning about what young professionals want, but what we can do to help young professionals achieve their best potential. How we can nurture them, and how we can encourage them, and how we can promote them, and how we can work with them and appreciate them for them to achieve their best. We have learned. Not that we only made mistakes. We learned over the years, and I think some of the mistakes became our best lessons, especially inside Rexy, but in the companies that I've sat on the board, on the governance level, as a board chair or as a board member, and as we deal with people and culture, and the concerns of the people in that organization. So in the course of mistakes and in the course of the lessons, we have won. And I don't want to really thumb my chest, but when you look at the table there, which I'm so happy that they came, you can see the mixture of the professionals we have and who are making Rex what it is, which means we did win in the process of the mistakes that we made. So we are going to share that, and I'm sure the sharing will be a lesson also to others who are building their businesses. It will be also a lesson to others who are working with teams, professional teams, who will want to get the best from their teams, and it will be something that we can come back to continue the conversation sometimes to come. So when you talk of young professionals and wanting to support them achieving their best, where are they? Who are they? From the national census 2022, 34% of the population in Tanzania is made up of people, young persons, 15 years to 35 years. We call them youth, but that's the time when they have a lot of potential in terms of what they want to learn at the workplace, what they want to achieve for themselves, or the companies or the entities or the firms they are working for. When they have a lot of fears, because that's when they're also forming their families, that's also when they want to actually build a life for themselves and their families. This is the people we are talking about. But in Tanzania, really, you cannot just be talking about that segment of the demography of our population. You are talking of more than that. That is those maybe under 52. And I'm saying so because I'm not retired, by the way. And I was talking to young marketers who wanted to know what I would be doing in the next 5 years. This was last year, and I laughed, said, I'll be practicing law. Because Biden is still vying for president, by the way. It may sound funny, but when we talk of professionals, we can also look at the professionals who are above 45, who are below 50, or even above 50, because these are the people who are actually scattered in the marketplace at the moment, in the businesses that are actually the engine for the growth of the Tanzanian economy. So this I wanted to expand a little bit the young age of the professionals we are addressing today. Now, and who are the employers, by the way? Government. We have young professionals inside government, and recently we have seen very strong professionals joining the team that is led by Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan. So we appreciate at least she knows the power of the young professionals. So some of the government agencies also are getting quite a number of young people. And then, of course, in accounting firms, in law firms, engineering companies, leading corporates, banks, and mobile providers, international NGOs. Those are the employers of young professionals. And I have had the advantage of actually being across the spectrum, working with young professionals in government agencies, public corporations, in an accounting firm, and then my law firm. So I've seen the dynamics, the response of the young teams, depending on how they're being treated and how they're being rewarded and how they were actually sourced, how they were hired. So this is something that I've come to learn, and I will share with you in a few minutes. some may be scattered here and there. Some may have their own businesses and they're trying to actually develop their businesses and grow their businesses, but also they realize the importance of professionals, and they are also using the professionals from what I have seen. So what I can say, every employer looks to achieving high performance. Whether they know how to find that performance, or whether they know how to harness it, how to develop it, that is something else. They want high performance. Every employee wants some of the things I will be talking about. Recently, we were discussing about culture and people of a certain organization, and there was this concern about lots of complaints. But we also wondered, if our teams are so unhappy, why no one is leaving? So is it because we are better off the worst? Or is it because maybe they have nowhere else to go? Or is it because really they are not that competent? But those are some of the questions I'm sure when you leave you will be asking yourself about the teams that you have in your firm, in your company, in the place where you're working. But everybody wants performance. How to achieve that performance is really the issue. And I want to say to you that over the years, I think it's almost 40 years, I've hired many young people, professionals, as a lawyer, as a law firm partner. Some have become our competitors because they went along and set up their own successful law firms. Some left because of mistakes that we made, not realizing they are ready. But some left because they had their own ambitions, because they had reached the top, and they just thought they wanted to leave. So it was not about mistakes. It was about the professionals that want to get better and better and better and build themselves. So that should never come as a surprise. But eventually, a majority of them came to appreciate and to acknowledge the respect that they had, the mentoring that they had, the training that they had. So these are the things that will play into you achieving performance from young professionals. So these experiences you will be seeing if you're looking into achieving the best performance at workplace with the young professionals, and I want to say with all professionals sometimes. So I will share some of the real situations. One of them is the one that I just mentioned about. You hear a lot of complaints, but people are staying put. So there could be other reasons, not because of what you're doing. But while I'll mention Rex many times, because that has been the breeding ground of many lawyers that you see in town, I will also make reference to some of the areas where I've been working over the years. So the discussion, where does it begin? When you're looking for a young professional, it begins at the beginning, when you hire them, when you're recruiting them. Today, when I was coming to this event in the car, I saw a clip that was shared, which I was interested in, about someone many of you know, Malema meeting his equal. In other jurisdictions, which I hope will also come in this jurisdiction not too late, is sourcing of judges goes through a rigorous interview process so that the judge can be called to account to his past decisions before he is allowed to go higher to continue making decisions and netting out justice. So this Malema was interrogating a black colleague because he worked for the apartheid and trying to make him look like he belongs to the past and he cannot be a judge. And he responded well. But also, another commissioner asked him questions about his previous judgments, and you can see he was one of the best persons, good candidates for the position. So how do you hire and how do you onboard young professionals? It has to be through a competitive, transparent process. That is when you get the best out there from the market of competing brains, abilities, experiences, skills. If you don't do competitive hiring, you are doomed. I don't need to name names about corporations, but I can say public corporations. The biggest malaise in public corporations is because of the hiring process. Someone sits in an office, you wake up in the morning, maybe there was some kind of looking around, maybe comparing, but not even given a chance to tell the owners what you're capable of doing. Unakabidhiwa shirika kubwa tu. What happens? Failure. There could be other reasons. I know there are quite a number of other reasons. That will be one of the reasons. And sometimes, as we were starting our legal practice, we used to just hire. In the end, we realized, oh no, it's not working. So when we have interns coming to us, we watch them, we give them work, and we assess them, and then we interview them through a panel of partners and senior associates, and then we hire them. We have the best because of the recruitment process. And these days, corporates usually use external recruiting agencies. I'm not saying they're the best. We have seen an example, and my colleague here, Daudi, knows, where you may hire and you don't get all the information because also the hiring agency isn't exactly impartial. So you have to have a look at all the parameters at the time of recruitment, at the time of sourcing, especially the senior teams that are going to be leaders of teams, to be giving them the guidance and the direction of the culture of the firm, of the company. So at that time, that's what matters. And then what else that we have seen in Rex, and now I see in a public entity that we are trying to transform, is that you must have clear job description, clear targets, and clear path to the route, to the top. For law firms, usually it's not very difficult. We have timesheets, we have assessments, we have the targets. You can always tell we have the goodwill that is established because the fellow can interact with people and bring business, or can do the business that is being brought. So, but you have to know, you have to have a clear job description. If you don't have clear job description, how do you hold anyone accountable? How do you know if they're actually delivering or achieving what they set out to achieve? So that is another area that you need to have. And then performance assessment. You have your job description, you have your targets. There must be a process of assessing performance of the young professional. Whether that young professional is achieving it, you must have criteria for assessing performance. In law firms, we do have criteria that we apply, and some of them are quite clear to the performers, to the young professionals. And I know in accounting firms they do. I'm not sure about engineering firms. I've never worked for them. I know in government also there was, in the past, I don't know whether they still have, open performance assessment through which actually you would discuss with your team member and explain to them why you are giving them that kind of level of assessment. I remember when I was in government, an ambassador, I was assessing a foreign service officer under me. And this fellow was all the time drunk, coming to work late, coming drunk. And I said, you know, I have assessed you that you cannot be trusted. And this I am letting you know because this is what I consider, because I cannot believe you will be able to deliver on a matter unsupervised. And he said, hey, Mama, balozi sasa ni kweli. So these are things. So the young professional knows that he was not performing. If you don't let that professional know that is not performing, you're also not doing a service to that professional, because maybe he needs to move on. And maybe he will excel elsewhere. And I know there are professionals that are professional I privately asked to move from Rex and is excelling elsewhere. Whether he's excelling because he is meeting competition, or he's excelling because he's the best out there among the group, but he's better off elsewhere than where he was. Maybe he would not have made it to a partner, which is something that every professional will be actually aspiring for. So performance assessment is critical. And this is what we were trying to consider when we were looking at this organization and seeing how the professionals especially are responding. We were thinking they cannot be that unhappy. And then communicate and feedback what you know, as I was mentioning about Minakona Huaminiki. So that's something that you must communicate, but also recognize and reward performers. Reward them in some different ways. Promote them, give them accelerated increment. There is a rewarding that happened in TANESCO last week. A team of TANESCO engineers and other professionals on the TANESCO Tegeta site were celebrating with a bull, a roast bull, because performers are rewarded that way so they can enjoy. And everybody gets to see that they are having fun because they performed by meeting all the targets that were set for them. So that is a very small way of recognition, by the way. But it is so motivating to the other teams that you will see the next team that will come. And it motivates the entire company, because they know that they will be recognized. And also the recognition of performers is letting everybody in the team know that these are the performers. And these performers, we have respect, and we know they are contributing to the company more than as much as they are expected and beyond. And that's, again, very important. The other thing is respect and collegiality. Yani, for the young professionals, this one is the thing. You are not going to be reminding them that you are the boss. They will completely ignore you. You're not going to keep telling them, I make the decisions. You are killing your teams completely, because they want to be seen to be suggesting and for you listening. Do listening. If you don't listen to them, you are actually committing suicide of your teams. They will not perform. But if you don't show respect, they don't show you respect. They will hate you, and they will let you know that they hate you. We have seen this. I cannot be talking about it, but I've seen this live, and not too long time ago. Never, ever keep reminding your teams or threatening your teams or telling them who you are and what you can do, that you can actually end their contracts or end their employment or ruin their life, yani unatafuta matatizo makubwa, because there will not be performance. It will be such a disaster. And then how do you promote that? Some offices today, they have open offices to promote collegiality. You wake up tomorrow morning, you are sitting next to the managing partner, because he doesn't have a permanent office, he doesn't have a separate place, or some offices have glass windows, so that you don't lock yourself away thinking you are superior. If you show any superiority to the young professionals, you are actually ruining your own career as a leader. So better not at all, just avoid trying to show how big you are or how important you are. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you can actually deliver to them and how you can guide them. So these open offices, that everybody can sit anywhere at any time. One, it will bring a lot of performance, in the sense that people are not surfing the internet because everybody is looking. Or maybe you're sitting next to someone you know is your team leader. Now, you cannot just pick a phone. Some offices have a place where you are going to do your phones. So you cannot be doing things which you should not be doing. You are actually delivering the work that you went to deliver on that day. You will achieve without any doubt. And then promote teamwork and support innovation. Teamwork. Don't isolate a professional who you differ with, thinking you are punishing him. You isolate him, he becomes the underdog, and he has the support of the entire team against you as a leader. So you're not making them perform, you're actually making them now create bunkers, which will be very effective against you. So promote teamwork. And when you promote teamwork, and we saw that in the office who are handling a matter, and of course me being BBC, born before computers, this young professional says, we used to do cut, paste when you're doing a job, an assignment that involves many teams. And then one will come and consolidate and akesha mpaka asubuhi. This young professional said, no, we can have this file shared. We can all work on this file simultaneously, and we will reduce a lot of energy. We accepted, created that file, and that job went like that. One of my partners is here and will bear witness to that, because we were quite impressed. This is a very young associate who, of course, is over this generation, who understands the value of digital. So digitalization and working together and allowing the innovation, and us supporting that innovation, will actually make the teams better. And the team worked very better, delivered on a very complex assignment that were not done before, because of the collegiality that we developed with the young professionals. And then professional development and mentorship. That's another thing that is so important, which we practice at the firm by doing specific trainings in the areas that we practice. But also it's something that the Bar Association practices as a requirement for licensing. If you don't do continued legal education, you cannot renew your license. That is professional development. It may not be as effective as we wanted it to be, but it is actually doing so far much better, maybe, than what we learn in law school. So the professional development, the mentorship programs, the coaching, sometimes you mentor without knowing you are mentoring, by the way. And sometimes you mentor because you have mentoring programs that you have in place. And sometimes you mentor in the groups as you're working together, as you are going through an assignment, as you put in the reads in the document, as you pay a lot of attention in the document that has been brought to you by an associate or a senior associate or a fellow partner. So in the process, you realize, and I've seen this so much, that you have professionals who actually write like you do, who do opinions and advice exactly in the way that you do, not knowing that's the kind of professionals that you developed. That a client who thinks you should be doing the work all the time for them, they cannot distinguish your work and the work that you did. Sasa, people have been to the Vatican, they know. You cannot tell where Michelangelo ended and where his students started. Mentoring young professionals to achieve their best is making them be like their mentor and beyond their mentor. And that is what we are looking for in this very competitive world. And then, of course, question of competitive pay comes in, and that is the biggest issue of us getting the best in the public sector, because we have this jacket that every public corporation must wear in terms of who you hire, in terms of who you fire, in terms of how you pay them. Then you cannot get the best, of course. And those who come maybe kwa uzalendo, maybe to thinking maybe I can change something, then you have the best. But competitive pay is something, we were discussing something recently about chief financial officers of the blue chip corporates at the moment. The local ones are more expensive than expatriates because they're few. The competitive ones are few. Or this, when we talk of competitive compensation, this is something that is very important. But what is important, again, is flexible working times. They tell you flexi. First time I heard of it, my colleague knows, was about 4 years or 5 years ago. This very competitive young professional joins an entity we are having responsibility over. And everybody wants him, they don't want him to leave. And the fellow says, I want flexi working times. My wife lives in South Africa. I want to be working from South Africa. I said, oh, we hired you exclusively. Oh, you hired me exclusively for this time to this time. I can work flexi times and deliver. And we had to bow. But this has become the major issue for women professionals. I want to work. I want to start a family. And I'm sure I can work flexi times and still deliver to you, Madam Maja. So this is something that we have to learn to accept. And then COVID came. And then everybody knew, oh, you can work remotely. Now I'm lactating my baby. I want to work from home so that I can lactate. We talked about having nurseries at workplace. It didn't really work. We look at the cost, and then we are not doing it. So now they realize we can work from home. So flexi time and place. If you don't offer this, you're just wasting your time. There are now law firms which are virtual. They have no office. They don't work fixed times. They consolidate professionals. They work from wherever location, and they deliver at less cost than you do. So the competition is here, not coming. The change for the young professionals, which the young professionals are looking for, is upon us. How we adopt that will make a difference, or else we perish, maybe slowly, but we will perish for sure. So this is something else that you have to do. And I believe if we can adopt to the dictates of the young professionals, we can actually grow our businesses and even the public operation in ways that we never could have imagined. But they come also as a package, young professionals. Wengine hata huyo ana demand flexi time, he's working for 3-4 companies and is not delivering. Hiyo ni kitu kingine. Then the other thing is impatient, not able to really stay on to get the necessary skills. On he moves. And then in the end, when he goes for the job that now he loves most, the question comes, we see that you've been moving a lot. How can we trust you? So these are things also the young professionals need to consider. If you keep moving because you're going for the kill, by the time you reach the kill, it may not be yours. Unapoteza. So that's something else to look. The other thing that we need to consider is too much expectations from the young professionals. Too much feeling of entitlement. And this works contrary to what I've been discussing here. And even when you are the best and you let your managing partners see that you think you're so entitled, people just feel very happy to let you go, because really you're not a team maker, you cannot fit. So you can be the achiever under the right conditions, but don't overrate yourself, because when you do that, you also become a loser. Those are my experiences that I've gathered over the years, working with young professionals, and recently younger professionals that we work with. And I believe that with that, we will actually assist them achieve the best as team leaders, not only at the top, but as leader of the different and various teams within an organization. I could go on and on, but I want to end here. And if later I'll be required to say a word or two, maybe, I want again to thank the organizers profusely for inviting me. And I want to thank all of you for your attention. Asanteni sana. Mungu akubariki.